Hi, welcome everyone to yet another video in Diversity in Living Organisms. Today's video is the fourth and final video for the chapter Diversity in Living Organisms from Class 9 NCERT CBSE Biology. In today's video, we'll be learning about the chordates. So let's understand the phylum chordates, its general features, characteristics, and what all the divisions or the subphylum and the classes which come under chordates. Let's understand the characteristics of the phylum Chordata. The first and the most important characteristic of the phylum is the presence of the notochord. This notochord is a longitudinal rod-like structure which is present at the back of the body, and it differentiates or it divides between the nervous tissue and that of the digestive tract. The second is the single dorsal nerve cord. This nerve cord generally or later on it again divides into the brain and the spinal cord. Following is the pharyngeal gill slits, which helps in the process of respiration or breathing in the water. So the water enters through this gill slits instead of getting or going inside through the digestive tract, and here the dissolved oxygen is taken from the water and the excess of water is given out. And finally, the post-anal tail or the post-anal tail. This post-anal tail is an extension of the body which extends till that of the anus. And these, other than these four, the common or the general characteristics of the chordata is it is bilateral, symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomic with a segmented body, and it is well differentiated with an organ system level of organization. So the main characters of the phylum Chordata which we must remember is the presence of the notochord, the presence of the single dorsal nerve cord, the pharyngeal gill slits, and finally the post-anal tail, which extends and is an extension of the body. So based on these characteristics of the chordata, we can again start dividing the chordates. So the chordates can be divided into Protochordata and Vertebrata. So the Protochordata and the Vertebrata, as you can understand that this comes with a specific vertebral column. The Protochordata, when we study, or in my last video also I have discussed that in the Protochordata we see the presence of the notochord. In Vertebrata also we see the presence of notochord, but during the early stages of development, which later on converts into the vertebral column, which is because this name has been given as Vertebrata. So under the vertebra we can see the phylum of Cyclostomata, Pisces or the fishes, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and finally the Mammalia or we the human beings which come under this phylum. So let's start with the subphylum Protochordata. So the subphylum Protochordata, as I told you that this subphylum here this is the first subphylum where we see the presence of the notochord, and notochord is a longitudinal rod-like structure which is present at the back of the body, and it divides the nervous tissue to that of the digestive tract. So these are mostly marine animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical, which is a feature of the chordates. Their body is divided into proboscis, collar, and the trunk. They are truly coelomic and is divided into protocoel, mesocoel, and metacoel. And presence of the notochord, which I have already told that this is the notochord which is present, and it is present throughout the life of the this protochordates. Examples are Belanoglossus, Harmodynia, and Amphioxus. So they are simple open circulatory system. They are triploblastic in nature, and reproduction which takes place is mainly sexual. The sexes are separate. They are not the same sexes in the same body, and external fertilization takes place, and it takes place in the seawater. That's why I told they are mostly marine. Mostly they are marine animals, because till now whatever we have studied, they are 95% all are mostly marine animals, either aquatic or marine. So this is also a marine animal. Examples are Belanoglossus, Harmodynia, and Amphioxus. And so the presence of notochord is a very important character for the Protochordata. They are marine, they are bilaterally symmetrical, they are truly coelomic, and they have an open and simple circulatory system. They have different sexes, but the sexual interaction is external, or fertilization is external. This is more about the subphylum Protochordata. Now let's understand about the characters of the subphylum Vertebrata. Now Vertebrata, as I told you, the vertebra or the name has come due to the presence of the vertebral column. So this is one of the most important characteristics for the phylum Vertebrata. They possess a notochord at the embryonic stage, which gradually changes into the vertebral column. They are bilaterally symmetrical and triploblast, which is also a common characters for the chordates, and they have a truly coelomic with segmented bodies, and bundle of nerves run along the vertebral column of spinal cord, and the alimentary canal exists below it. And also the presence of the nerves, here we can see the presence of the nerves which is there, which run above the vertebral column or the spinal cord, because later on we'll see that the spinal cord runs through this vertebral column and the alimentary canal also exists. So these are the main characters of the phylum Vertebrata, and the complexity of the organism increases. Now we have studied that in chordates we are having organ system level of organization, but this organ system level of organization, the complexity of each of it increases, because we are moving more towards evolution. We are more evolved organism we are going to study. So the complexity of the body, complexity of each organ structure, organization, it slowly increases. So this is about the subphylum Vertebrates. Under the subphylum Vertebrata, again we have studied some of the phylums or some of the classes. The first class is the Cyclostomata. The first class is the Cyclostomata. As I have told you, as we can see in the picture, this is the petromyzon, lamprey and hagfish. So they are mostly round and elongated. They have a slippery, their skin is soft, smooth and devoid of any scales. They do not have any scales. We can understand by seeing the photographs that they are very soft and slippery and smooth body which is devoid of scales. The exoskeleton is totally absent. Because the exoskeleton is absent, they are not very hard to hold or the texture. But endoskeleton is cartilaginous with no bones. The structure tells us that they are very much soft and slimy. Because they are soft, they are devoid of bones. They do not have any bones. The only thing that is present inside, that is the cartilage. The cartilage, means it can easily be bent. It does not give a feeling that of a bony structure. Obviously, they have the presence of the notochord, because still they are the first phylum for the vertebrates. So they have the presence of the notochord, and that too throughout their lives, just like that of the Protochordata. So they have the notochord. The digestive system is devoid of any stomach. They do not have stomach, but they have a digestive system. The heart is two-chambered, and they have also gills. The gill slits are there. We can see here the gill slits are there. They are 5 to 16 in pairs. So in the both sides they have this gill pairs. The number varies from 5 to 16. The sexes are separate in nature, just like the protochordates or the normal chordates, and they are believed to be hermaphrodite. And development may be direct or indirect. And the examples are petromyzon, lamprey and hagfish. So this is the most primitive type of the vertebrates. They are totally marine in nature. They do not have any bones, only they have the presence of cartilage, and they do not have any scales. They are very soft and slippery in nature, and they have devoid of all exoskeleton. They have a presence of notochord throughout their lives. Their sexes are separate. They have a digestive system without a stomach. So these are the main features or main characters of the of the class Cyclostomata. And examples are petromyzon, lamprey and hagfish. So let's move on to the second class, that is the Pisces. As the name suggests, we know that Pisces, we are talking about the fishes. So fish means there are different variety of fishes. Here I have shown you only 3 types, but there are huge number of and variety of fishes. So what are the characters? Let's get an idea about the characteristic features. First, they are exclusively aquatic, freshwater, marine or brackish water. They are totally in water. It may be fresh water, it may be sea water, or it may be totally salty water or brackish water. Their skin are covered, you can see the skin are covered with a particular scale. Their body is usually streamlined because that helps them in swimming in water. You can see all have a streamlined body. All have a streamlined body. Streamlined body means they have a pointed mouth and they have a narrow body structure. Respiration takes place through specialized structure called gills. Here we can see the formation or the presence of the gills, that is totally respiration takes place through gills, which is also an evolved structure which we get to see in the chordates, because in the other phylum we generally don't get to see them. Their body are streamlined. They have a tail which helps in locomotion. This tail, the presence of the tail in each of them helps in locomotion and also helps them to guide. Or change the direction during the movement, because this acts like a radar for changing or determining the direction, or helps in the movement of the fishes in water. They have a closed type blood circulation, because from the outside we cannot see any nerve or any blood or any veins carrying blood. So they have a closed type blood circulation, and their feature and the structure or the body is of 2 types. They are either bony, because fishes, if we understand that fishes have bones, they are either bony or they are cartilaginous. If we are talking of a bony fish, we can talk of the general fishes like rohu, tuna, etc. Whereas if it is a cartilaginous, it is the shark which is cartilaginous in nature. So types of the body can be of 2 types, that is either bony or cartilaginous. They are all cold-blooded. So they are all cold-blooded means they keep on changing their body temperature according to the external environment. They do not have any fixed body temperature. They keep on changing. And fertilization may be external and internal, and they lay eggs. The fertilization that takes place may be external or internal, because in some fishes it is internal fertilization, for some it is external fertilization, and obviously they lay eggs. So these are the features for the class Pisces. Examples can be tuna, shark, rohu, and various other fishes that we have, that being a non-veg they have, so it can all will come under the class Pisces. Next is the class Amphibia. Now the class Amphibia, as if you remember when we had talked about the plant classification, we have told that the bryophytes are the amphibians of the plant kingdom or the plant system. So amphibians, the word means this actually are the organisms which can live both in water as well as in land. So they are the link between the organisms of the water and the land. So these are the first organisms which had come out of water and moved into land and helped for the further evolution for the land animals. So the first characteristic of the amphibians, that is they can live both on land and water. They are ectothermic in nature, that is found in a warm environment. The organisms are devoid of any scales, and they have a mucus glands that helps to keep them moist when they are in land. Because of the temperature, the skin might get dry, so they have a moist gland or the mucus gland which helps to maintain the body temperature and keeps the skin moist. They possess 2 pairs of limbs for locomotion, and they have gills as well as lungs for their breathing. Where they are on the land, they use the lungs for breathing. Where they are in water, they use the gills for the mode of respiration. In the life cycle of a frog, if you remember that the tadpole, when it is born, it does not have any lungs, it has only the presence of gills. So it continues to stay in water, because tadpoles, they are not able to come out of water as they do not have the lungs. But due to the course of the development, during the course of the life cycle, they develop the lungs which allow them to come out of water and carry out the activities. They respire mostly through gills. They have a 3-chambered heart. Unlike us, they have a 3-chambered heart, and they exhibit external fertilization, and they lay eggs in water. I told you that the amphibians are the class which leads some part of the life in water, but during the process of their reproduction, they have to get back to water, because that is where they lay their eggs, and they have to complete their life cycle. The example can be frogs and salamanders. The next is the class reptiles. So when we talk of reptiles, or when we see the reptiles, we always have a jittery feeling about this class, because this looks little awful. So the class Reptilia, they have the features that they are strong bony skeletons and feet with claws. We can see for the crocodiles that they have a strong bony structure, strong bony skeletal structures. You can see this projections for the which helps them or protects the crocodile, and they have feet with particular claws. They have feet with claws, and they are ectothermic in nature, that is they are cold-blooded in nature, that is they do not have a fixed body temperature. The temperature changes according to the environment. They have skin with scales. Obviously they have scales. If you see for the lizards, if you see for the turtle, if you see for the snakes, crocodiles, they all have scales. Even for the lizards and the snakes, they sometimes give up their scales in order to develop the new scales. And the respiration is through lungs. Heart is 3-chambered, except for crocodile. The respiration takes place through lungs because they are totally terrestrial animals. Sometimes not totally terrestrial, because we see crocodiles, some are not totally terrestrial, some live a life in water, but the majority of their life cycle they have to spend on land, because they have lungs. They do not have gills for breathing in water. So most of the part of their life they spent on land. And all of them, like that of the amphibians, they have a 3-chambered heart, except for crocodile, which have a 4-chambered heart. They have ventricles are partially divided, and they have an internal fertilization. They have internal fertilization. Here, sometimes in some reptiles, they lay eggs, and some reptiles, they give birth to young ones. Among snakes, you will see some snakes laying eggs, while some snakes, they give birth to young ones. So in this class Reptilia, it is not, cannot be told that they all lay eggs or they all give birth to the young ones. Some lay eggs and some give birth to the young ones. The examples of reptiles can be snakes, crocodiles, turtle, lizards, etc. Moving on to the next class, that is the class Aves, and we all know it means birds. So this is a wonderful class representing beautiful body structures, beautiful colors, and some special features which is not found in other classes. The first special feature, that is the presence of feathers. The feathers is the only class that has feathers. These are very light in weight. They can fly, which is not found in any other classes. They have a 4-chambered heart like that of the mammals or we human beings. Their bones are so light in weight and they are usually hollow in nature, because of which they are able to fly. This decreases the weight of the birds, otherwise it will be difficult for them to fly. And their 4 limbs are modified as wings. They have only 2 limbs, and the 4 limbs, that is the 4 limbs is modified into wings. Then they lay eggs, which is covered with a coating of the calcium. Now this calcium coating, it helps in the preventing of the damage of the eggs on land, because on land you have to be more careful and take more care, because the environment is still more hazardous. So they have a calcium covered eggs which helps the eggs form protection, and this class totally lays eggs. They do not give birth to young ones. Their pelvis are fused together and they breathe through lungs. They are totally terrestrial in nature. they cannot have, or they cannot go and live in water. So they are lung breathers. They have lungs and they breathe through their lungs. So this is some special features of the class Aves, that is, they have wings, they have hind wings. Their forelimbs are converted into wings. Their bones are very light in weight and hollow in nature, which on the total it decreases the weight. And examples of this class can be any of the birds that we see. It can be a crow, sparrow, peacock, then duck, white stork, and even the big birds like that of ostrich, eagle, vulture. They all come under this class Aves. And so we have come finally to the class Mammalia. This is the class where we human beings also belong. And the first and the most important feature of this class is that they give birth to young ones. And as they give birth to young ones, they have also presence of the mammary glands, which provides milk, and this milk helps in the nourishment of the young ones. But still there is exceptions, or in the class Mammalia, organisms are there which lay eggs. And the two examples of that are platypus and echinida. So you can see the platypus with the eggs. So these are the two which come under the class Mammalia, but they don't give birth to the young ones. Other than that, we all are warm-blooded, or we are homeothermic. That is, we do not change according to the body temperature, according to the environment. So according to as the environment changes, we have to maintain our. Next, we have the presence of the teeth. This teeth is also seen in the other classes, but we have specially designed teeth with a single lower jawbone, and we have a four-chambered heart like the previous classes of Aves and Reptilia, and we have a highly developed brain. The class Mammalia, they have a highly developed brain with a proper digestive system, circulatory system, and also a proper vertebral column through which the spinal cord moves or runs through. They are separate sexes, and sexes, all in the sexes, when the fertilization takes place, is internal. Examples of the class Mammalia are koala, kangaroo, echinida, and platypus. So these can be the examples. Along with it, there are numerous other examples of the class Mammalia. All the animals that we see, the tiger, lion, elephants, deer, they all come under the class Mammalia, and also the human beings, which is also a very good example of the class Mammalia. So this brings us to the end of the diversity in living organisms. We have completed it in 4 different classes, and in my next video I'll be coming up with the questions for the chapter diversity in living organisms. Till then, take care, goodbye, stay safe. And if you have liked my video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Till then, thank you.